superstar. Andrade El Idolo. I'm surprised.
Andrade El Idolo had it all. He had the look, he had the skills bell to bell, and a third-generation pro wrestling pedigree. He was set up to be a huge thing in AEW. But for some reason, the past few years in All Elite Wrestling did not give him the chance to shine as the main event star that many thought he would be when he made his way to the land of the elite. Yeah, his booking in All Elite Wrestling also was subpar in the eyes of some fans from the beginning, and with a mere 34 singles matches under 3.5 years there, some people felt like maybe the promotion never did him the service he deserved. What led to a somewhat lackluster trajectory in the land of Tony Khan? Let's delve into the factors of what went awry for Andrade in his AEW journey and where it might be heading. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin. Let us know what you want to see happen with Andrade in the comments below. Also, tell us your favorite Andrade match or moment. Andrade was raised in pro wrestling, with his father and grandfather crafting the Andrade legacy in Lucha Libre before he debuted in 2003 at the young age of just 14 years old. He would go to the top tier of Lucha Libre with CMLL, where he would be rechristened La Sombra, which translates to the Shadow. There he would become one of the top luchadors in the world and would continue to make a splash internationally with the infamous LIJ faction in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was one of the most acclaimed names who was getting attention from the biggest company in all of pro wrestling. Andrade's big break with WWE started in 2015 when he was recruited to Triple H's Black and Gold NXT, where he unexpectedly clinched the NXT Championship in 2017. The victory took the wrestling world by surprise, as few had anticipated him ascending to the championship throne so quickly. He had a critically acclaimed run as NXT champion and eventually dropped the title to Aleister Black, now known as Malachi Black. Following this, he was brought up to the main roster of Monday Night Raw, and under Vince McMahon's supervision, he was kind of overlooked, maybe lost in the shuffle. Despite having a long reign as the United States champion, Andrade was not getting the attention that he felt he deserved. He had some decent moments, some incredible matches with the likes of Rey Mysterio, but nothing that maybe lived up to the hype he had when he got that call-up. He knew he wasn't going to get the main event push he felt he deserved, and was looking to get out. He reportedly requested his release from the company in 2021, and it was initially denied. Now, some have debated his relationship with Charlotte Flair, who is probably the biggest female superstar in WWE, is something that may have influenced some backstage elements to maybe grant him that release eventually in March of 2021. What would happen next for Andrade was something that fans were excited for and something they were anticipating. All Elite Wrestling, with a combination of the Lucha Libre that he was also familiar with. His debut with AEW would emerge via a video package with AAA, one of the big Lucha Libre promotions, and their Rey de Reyes show, where he issued a challenge to the AAA Mega Champion and All Elite Wrestling Executive Vice President Kenny Omega. This set the stage for an impending championship clash at the Triple Mania huge mega card, adding a compelling chapter to Andrade's evolving storyline. Finally, Andrade made his AEW television debut on the June 4th, 2021 episode of Dynamite under the new ring name of Andrade El Idolo. This debut coincided with a period where AEW was gaining substantial momentum. The waning effects of the pandemic had dissipated, and AEW in turn was crafting some of the most captivating stories on television. Around the same time, many superstars from WWE made the jump to AEW, like Malachi Black, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson. And on August of 2021, CM Punk returned to pro wrestling after a 7-year absence, and it was Tony Khan's company that was changing the game. AEW was on a hot streak, and Andrade was joining the company as a logical choice at the right time. Just look at the AEW roster in 2021. Punk, Danielson, Omega, Jon Moxley, Jericho, MJF, Pac, Hangman Adam Page. We could go on. It had some of the best wrestlers in the world, all clanging and banging and putting on incredible performances. This meant that things were going to be great for Andrade, as AEW had a lot of established names for him to work with. In an attempt to solidify his presence in AEW, Andrade initially aligned himself with Vicky Guerrero, a pairing that seemed promising on paper. However, the partnership proved to be short-lived, as Andrade introduced Chavo Guerrero, another name familiar within Latin American wrestling circles, as his new consultant. The collaboration with Chavo Guerrero was also short-lived, lasting a mere month before Andrade severed ties with him. The abrupt change in managerial alliances within just 3 months highlighted some inconsistencies in AEW's booking approach for this new big superstar. While engaging in some commendable matches against the likes of Pac and Cody Rhodes, Andrade found himself needing a compelling storyline during his time in AEW. The issue was compounded by what appeared to be a 50-50 booking strategy, preventing him from gaining sustained momentum. He got involved in some odd stories where he attempted to recruit the Lucha Brothers and also aligned himself with the Hardy family office, becoming the part owner of that faction. These storylines seemed more like they were means for Andrade to find a foothold in AEW more than contribute at a meaningful level that developed his character beyond just the surface level rich and powerful Mexican star. Gradually, Andrade found himself overshadowed, somewhat lost in the mix in AEW, similar to how he was lost in the mix in WWE. He wasn't alone in this predicament. Circumstances are like that with a big televised wrestling company and everyone fighting for spots. Even other superstars who joined AEW, like Miro, faced similar problems and possibly some neglect, depending on who you talk to and their version of what a billion-dollar creative wrestling company should be doing with specific wrestlers. Despite the hurdles, Andrade secured a significant opportunity in AEW at the Casino Battle Royale. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to win as Hangman Page secured the contract. Following this, Andrade faded away from the company, leaving his fans puzzled, seeking answers about his status and his future in All Elite. In 2022, the landscape within the wrestling world started to drastically change, with the scandal around Vince McMahon exiting WWE, Triple H, who recruited Andrade reportedly to WWE, going to the top of that company. And Andrade's AEW contract was still intact. Around this time, during an interview, Andrade would reveal that a fellow AEW wrestler, Sammy Guevara, someone who had also had reported backstage issues with other superstars, had complained about Andrade hitting him too hard during matches. Guevara, on Twitter, would respond by calling him a jobber. They would then have an exchange of several tweets publicly, with Andrade and Guevara saying not nice things about each other. Andrade would end this conversation by simply saying, "See you Wednesday." We could see where this was going. This was a backstage issue between two wrestlers competing for time on television that was playing out publicly on social media, and it was about to get worse for everyone involved, including AEW. That Wednesday would come in October of 2022, with Andrade having a preventable backstage altercation with Sammy Guevara that got physical. And TMZ reported that Guevara instigated the confrontation, though there are mixed reports about exactly who started it. Andrade and Guevara really were getting a lot of attention on AEW that wasn't positive. The response from AEW was sending Andrade home, even though he was advertised to compete on that week's AEW Rampage. That match would be canceled officially by Tony Khan. Guevara that same night would pick up a pinfall victory on Dynamite. The incident added another layer of unnecessary controversy for AEW, which was still reeling from the aftermath of the contentious all-out brawl at All Out involving CM Punk and the elite executives in the company. The speculation emerged among fans that Andrade may have intentionally provoked the altercation as a means to secure his release from AEW and possibly return to WWE. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim. Despite Andrade's reduced visibility on AEW television around that time, Tony Khan took decisive action and suspended him in the aftermath of the incident. Dave Meltzer, with his backstage sources on Wrestling Observer Radio during this time, would speculate on Andrade's possible political and physical fisticuffs. Andrade's trying to get fired. There's a few people, and it's not many, like 3, that want to leave AEW, and Andrade is one of them. Tuesday night, they were talked to, both of them, and they were told no fighting. Andrade was told that, you're not going to get fired if you fight, but you will be sent home. And Andrade said, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. There's going to be no fighting. Sammy said the same thing. Nothing's going to happen. They had security there, and everybody warned them ahead of time. Yet, as we already know, they actually fought backstage. When he would return to AEW television, his stock had appeared to diminish. Fans kind of knew that Andrade wasn't happy in AEW. However, in a strategic move, Tony Khan decided to use Andrade on the Collision Show, a separate show from Dynamite that was introduced in June of 2023. This platform provided him an opportunity to once again showcase his skills, leading to standout matches against formidable opponents like Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. In the latter half of 2023, a fresh chapter unfolded for Andrade, maybe even a positive one, as he aligned himself with a new face in the company, CJ Perry, known to WWE fans as Lana. The motive behind Andrade's pairing with Perry became evident, a feud with her real-life husband, Miro, an interesting story to play out. However, before his anticipated match with Miro, Andrade participated in the Continental Classic tournament, delivering impressive performances with 3 victories. Things were on the up for Andrade in AEW. Wow, look at things turning around here. But speculation arose that this was a strategic push in the tournament, including wins over stars like Bryan Danielson, one of the top men in the company, and it was orchestrated as Andrade's contract was nearing its reported conclusion. Those same speculations seem to say that Tony Khan aimed to entice Andrade into staying with AEW, recognizing his exceptional wrestling prowess as a valuable asset to the company while he was in extended contract time on his deal due to injuries and other delays. Despite these efforts, Andrade remained resolute in his decision to part ways when his contract came up, which some people believe was at the end of 2023. After a remarkable run in the Continental Classic and speculation about his future mounting, Andrade squared off against Miro at the AEW World's End pay-per-view event on December 30th, 2023. In a twist of events, CJ Perry's interference cost Andrade the match, allowing her husband to win. The dramatic encounter essentially marked Andrade's final appearance for AEW, and as the calendar turned into 2024, his contract officially expired, a fact confirmed by Tony Khan in the post-show media scrum, where he also outlined that the door was open for his return. Andrade's time with AEW had its ups and its downs, some suggesting that perhaps the timing of his arrival didn't align with the optimal circumstances for him to become the superstar some still believe he can be. Nonetheless, he had a strong run, and at the end of it, he had some very great matches, some of the most underrated and possibly some of the best of 2023. As he embarks on the next chapter of his wrestling journey, speculation arises that his potential return to WWE is simply just a foregone conclusion, especially given that, he's married into the business with Charlotte Flair. Yeah, and maybe by the time you're watching this video, that's already happened. The prospect of seeing Andrade paired with his wife on television adds intrigue and a layer to the narrative that fans can genuinely buy into. The possibilities are open, leaving fans curious and eager about what is next for Andrade. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling for more wrestling deep dive videos just like this.